Hello, hello. Get that audio check done. Shows my bandwidth is pretty slow. It's pretty small right now, which is not surprising. I don't know if y'all can hear it, but I'm getting hammered. For the past hour and a half, it's been lightning and thunder. Hey, what would you expect, though? It's Friday the 13th. This is a Jason presentation. What would you expect? You expect no less. Whole bunch of thunder and lightning and dark clouds. It's all theater. It's all theater. All right, so let's move this back just a hair. There we go. All right. Yeah, I've been busy. I've been stirring up the pot. Just enjoy the show, guys, because it's not over. It is not over. So, for those of you who don't know, share my screen. I'm coming out. I'm coming out the gate sharing my screen. It is going down. Yeah, man. For those of you who don't know, you should be able to see that. Let me see it. Let me see if I can see what y'all are seeing. Oh, yeah. All right. Turn that all the way down so we don't get a feedback. So Sunday's video, I've been promising to do this for a long time. Everything just keeps getting in the way, but now it's that time. It's that time. Fingerprints of the Grift. Graham Hancock's magnum opus dismantled. Yeah, guys, here it is right here. Here's the book. Yeah, this is the book right here. There it is. It's a pretty big book, over 505 pages plus bibliography. Here it is. Oh, yeah. This book here started a whole bunch of BS. They still pushing that BS. Graham Hancock's book came out in 1995. 1995 was the inception of the internet. In 1995, websites were real slow. A lot of them were DSL phone lines using modems, but it doesn't matter because Graham Hancock's book was really popular in 95, 96, 97, 98, 99 as the internet was taking on a life of its own. And people had taken Graham Hancock's mistakes and they had replicated them and they took on a life of their own. Then people built theories off of the mistakes that are in Graham Hancock's book. This is what we're going to get to. We're going to go deep into this. We're going to do it on Sunday. I'm going to blow you guys' mind because many people think that Graham Hancock is a knowledgeable guy. I am going to show you otherwise. Show you otherwise. And even today, many of the mistakes that are in that book are widely propagated in Gaia, Forbidden Knowledge, Bright Insight, Jimmy Corsetti, Ancient Aliens, Ancient Apocalypse. Yeah, man. Graham Hancock's never going to come to the table because he's already made $35 million in book sales, in tour deals, all kinds of contracts on his Ancient Apocalypse. He's not going to come to the table. That man has not an ounce of integrity in him. He is not going to ever put himself into the position of coming across someone more knowledgeable than he, embarrassing him in public in a debate, literally dismantling his entire thesis. He's not going to do that, guys. He's not. I don't expect him to. But that doesn't mean I'm going to shut up. Because he's got some copycats out there. He's got copycats out there, like Jimmy Corsetti, who needs to be handled. Jimmy Corsetti wants to double down. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Because it's too late to be polite. It's too late to be polite. And Randall Carlson, yeah, man, I'm done. I'm done thinking that man may ever change his tune. All he does All he does is perpetuate the Graham Hancock mistakes. Man, when I do that video, dismantling Graham Hancock's fingerprints of the gods, you guys are going to know what I'm talking about. You're going to be going, oh my God. He made mistakes that egregious. Yeah, it's crazy, guys. What people have assumed to be true, it just took off with just because it appeared first in Fingerprints of the Gods. Yeah, man, that's crazy. So that is Sunday's video. Man, I can still, man, it's still hammering outside. The animals are pairing it up. So I'm going to share my screen again. Why? Because I'm so generous. Share my screen again because that's Sunday's video. Tuesday's video, we're going to get to some real knowledge. We're going to get to some real, verifiable, relevant material. Not like Fingerprints of the Gods, that fantasy Facebook educated BS. We're going to get to some real material. This is the third date, episode 3 of Archaix 4.0. It is the fall of the children of the sun, the Ogaigian apocalypse. Remember, episode 1 was about 583 BC, predicted by Thales of Miletus, and all the calendars and everything in the world that changed when the sun went mysteriously dark in 583 BC. And then 552 years earlier, the sun went dark again, and there were tsunamis and the Sea People's invasion. Atlantis sunk. The Tuatha Danann were accused of being sorcerers for blackening out the sun so they could defeat the Firbolgs for the possession of ancient Ireland. Yeah. So that was episode 2. Now episode 3. The pattern remains unbroken. I didn't date any of these events. I showed in episode 1 and in episode 2 where those dates were derived. Now, in episode 3, 1687 BC, here's another common denominator. The sun went dark. All kinds of dynasties collapsed. It was in the month of May, and it's 552 years before. That's Tuesday. Episode 3 of Archaix 4.0. Hope you guys join me for that. All right. Stop sharing my screen. Thank you for joining me tonight, Friday night. I know a lot of people had plans. A lot of people are busy. It's not a real good time to go live on Friday nights, but I'm cool with that. I'm cool with it. So, the link is in the description box for both of those videos. So you don't have to hunt for them. I know sometimes it's hard to find videos. These live videos, go ahead after this video. You can go to the description box and you're going to see a bunch of links. 2 of the first links are these videos, Fingerprints of the Grift and Fall of the Children of the Sun. The links to both of those videos that are up and coming are in the description box, as well as the Shopify, Archaix Shopify store, because we got all kinds of stickers. It's too late to be polite, guys. You need to put this on your lunchbox. All you mill workers out there and truck drivers, you need to put this on your vehicle, on your car or something, or you can get your official Archaix shield, Phoenix shield. You can get these stickers. We got other stickers called Break Free or Die Trying. Also, after I showed Chronicon off in my other video, 1,055 page of chronological information. This is my magnum opus. You can tell Graham Hancock to dissect it all he wants. He may learn something. But this right here is my Chronicon, and you can get it. There's a link in the description box. This is a printed up version and bound of Chronicon. But Chronicon is a PDF. As soon as you buy it, you just download it. But Chronicon used to be $80. We knocked it down to $40, and we even added about 400 chronological world charts to help you as you go through Chronicon to see when these events happen in juxtaposition with other events. So there's a link in the description box for Chronicon, and with that link, you get about 400 charts with that Chronicon purchase. Let's see. It's still going to be a while before my publisher can actually publish Chronicon, and he said it's too massive now because this is even bigger than this. I keep adding more and more supplemental notes. So he's going to just publish the pre-flood world first, the first 3,000 years of Archaix history from 5239 BC to 2239 BC. So he's going to start with the pre-flood world. Also, after that other video where I was showing the whole stack of all my published books and explaining that I was a published author long before I started doing a YouTube channel, many people are asking, I don't know why it's so difficult. I try to tell people archaix.com has everything Archaix. You go to archaix.com, there's a menu at the top. One of them says books. One of them says resources. Archaix Academy, everything's there. But since it's so difficult, you know what? In the description box for this video, there's a link that goes straight to the Archaix catalog of published books that I wrote and researched myself. It's in the description box right now as well, as with the Archaix Shopify, the merch. So I think I got all my announcements out the way, except for we have an errant ad. Oh, yes, we do. Soulfire Alchemy. I know she's out there listening somewhere. Soulfire Alchemy is she's our errant sponsor for this video, and we'll show her video in a second. And the last announcement that I have before we start Q&A, I think the last announcement is, man, I am so excited about my Cypher community. I did not anticipate this level of participation, this level of excitement. People are using Cypher for things I never even imagined. They've created groups within groups and subgroups in the Cypher Telegram. You got people looking up horse racing, people looking up different sports, different things in sports I would have never thought to look up. There's a general excitement here because we initiated the beta testing by actually allowing the Cypher participants to download the more primitive versions of software, but our programmer has pulled a rabbit out of his hat. And just yesterday, the Cypher participants started downloading the new, advanced, upgraded, user-friendly Cypher version that is far more advanced than the one that I took to Las Vegas. So I'm really excited about that. I'm even already anticipating another trip to Vegas. So I've been playing with it, and I've just been so busy I haven't really been in the Cypher group, but I know Doug has, and I know my moderators have been looking at everything. So if you're interested in Cypher, there's an email in the description box. There's an email. Cypher's not free. We gave out about 30 free, just to be altruistic. I understand how some people, just can't afford stuff, but that we've already reached beyond saturation point. And if you're really interested, you'll email in the deal. If not, you can wait 6 months for us to figure out what we're going to do with it, because right now we're having a lot of fun. Let's see. Lori Duran, they are on top of the horse racing in the Cypher group. Yeah, I'm not a specialist in any of that, but they know far better than I do. Okay, all the announcements out the way. Let us see what our friend Soulfire Alchemy has to say. We will show all errant videos get shown at the beginning and at the end of each Archaix video. Let's see. Let's do it. Let's find Miss Soulfire Alchemy. Man, that thunder's so loud.
The quality of the emotion, right? The heaviness of it. It gets stuck in our body. It gets stuck in our mind. And we have to have ways to move that.
Imagine editing your life like a computer file. Soulfire Alchemy Shamanic Hypnosis taps into ancient wisdom and cutting-edge neuroscience to help you reprogram your mind. Let go of trauma, delete old patterns, and design your new reality just like clicking reset. It's time to reconnect with your true potential. Are you ready to step into your sovereignty?
Wow, I want to say a Southern voice, but there's something else there. Is it Louisiana? What am I hearing here? What am I hearing? So, she has a Substack, and the link is in the description box with the errant ad post. Also, her website is also linked in the description box. So, having finished all that in under 16, 17 minutes, Well, you can't count my intro. My intro's a minute and a half. Let's see. Hey, Nanny Puffins. I see Monica Farrow and Pamela Swan and Jeffrey Bailey. Everybody's in the house. Jamie Robbins, how you doing? Wrench looks good on you. Fearless Vic. The One Tucks, always from an opposite hemisphere. One Tucks are checking in. So thank you, moderators. Clay's Pigeon, how you doing, man? Mr. C? Yeah, man. It's awesome. All right. I see Leslie Pickett. You in dark green. Why are you in dark green? What does that mean? Justin Oyola, you're in dark green too. What does that mean? Huh. Lacey Z, how you doing? Nanny Boo Boo. All right. I don't do call outs very often, but I felt like doing it today. Kevin Moss. Kevin Moss, man. I know you having fun in that Telegram group. I'll be joining y'all soon. You know I've been on Scorched Earth Pass for a few days. It all started a week ago. When Jimmy Corsetti went on somebody's show, and I'm sitting there listening to him like, golly, man, this shill. This dude is just shilling, man. Nothing out of this dude's mouth is true. I'm like, so I just got on the internet and I started researching him. I'm like, man, let me look into this guy a little bit more. And I just found out that there's nothing to him. Absolutely vacuous. I'm like, wow. There's just no education here to brag about. There's no specialist training to brag about. There's no accomplishments to brag about. And yet he's traveling the world, going to all these different places and talking about things like he's qualified. So I'm like, how in the hell is this happening? So I'm looking at Jimmy Corsetti's material. I'm like, oh man, hell no. And I remember too, man, in the past he had posted my criminal history. He did it again about 3 days ago. But you know what? He's on my radar right now. He's on my radar. I'm not gonna lie. I'll probably get right back on his roll as soon as I'm done with this Graham Hancock video. Archaix structure shit is so dumb. It's dumb. But it made the dude a millionaire. But it is dumb. Oh, I got a special presentation too coming out on J Dreamers. I haven't forgot. He's just not a priority right now. I'm waiting for him to have one of his epic, stupid meltdowns again so I can go ahead and unleash on him. But that one's been in preparation for a while. Guys, I got so many irons in the fire. I got so many projects partially done, half done, already done, and ready to lock and load. I just don't. You know what? I told you guys from the beginning, this is my life. This is my life, man. I've already done more by 9 a.m. than most people do an entire day. You can take that to the bank. Just who I am, man. I don't have a slow speed. I just don't. I just don't. Yeah, man. Now I'm sorry, Boost. Oh, who's that? Boost to God? No, the Telegram group's closed to subscribers. It's not something you're just going to walk in. I'm sorry. There is an email in the description box for Cypher. But no, you don't get public access to that Telegram group. Thank you for posting the Archaix glossary. It's good. It's good to be reminded to go through the glossary. So a lot of people are confused by Archaix terms. Archaix glossary is good for that. Poppin' Sons, how you doing? Poppin' Sons, didn't you have a blue wrench? Why don't you have a blue wrench anymore? Don't I remember you with a blue wrench? Did you give it up or did somebody take it or what? How'd that happen? I can't do it from StreamYard. I was trying to give Grendel Dark a wrench, but I can't do it from StreamYard. I got to do it from YouTube. Yeah, somebody remind me. I know a lot of y'all email me. Somebody remind me, Grendel Dark and Poppin' Sons. So after the video, I can go in and I can give those blue wrenches. Yeah, Pamela Swan. I knew he had a wrench. I remember it. All right, let's go. Okay, so this is a Q&A. I'm wearing a Baby Phoenix shirt, so I'm not offended by Baby Phoenix questions today. I'm just not. You're new to Archaix. You got some questions. Okay. A lot of questions can be answered real simple by just taking a little bit of time to go to www.archaix.com. You'll be very surprised how well laid the website is. It will answer many of your questions. And I appreciate you do that before you come in my venue and ask things that are so simple you're going to piss everybody off. Baby Phoenix Friday. I wonder how many Friday the 13th there are. We'll start doing Jason Q&As just like this. I wonder how many Friday the 13th a year there are. There should be 2 or 3 of them at least a year. All right, you know what? Instead of answering from the description box, moderators, please post my email, archaixlive@gmail.com. archaixlive@gmail.com. You want to come on the screen? Give me a one-liner. Just give me a one-liner so I know your name. Put your name and one-liner, basically what you want to ask. Put it in the email deal. Archaix Live. And we'll just freestyle this and get a bunch of people on the screen and see what they're talking about. We might, hey, listen, get up here and say something dumb. You might get roasted too. It's not, hey, you get up here and say something dumb. All right, so let me, epic intro. I'm gonna get these out. Let me get over here and look at these emails. Should have some emails coming in. Yeah, all these guys, Jimmy Corsetti, Randall Carlson, all these guys, if they really wanted to get real, I'm talking about really impress people. You know this. They could read my published books. See how in-depth and meticulously sourced all my data is on the Phoenix phenomenon, Nemesis X object, world history, patterns, cycles, and epicycles, and then turn around and add to it by doing their own research, finding even more material out that I've never even dreamed of finding, and then turn around and do their own presentations and their own videos and saying, look, Archaix put this theory out, but he didn't even know about this. Look at this. It adds to the, listen, you can't take away from the Phoenix phenomenon. You can't do it. Those of you who have been with me for a long time and have gone through my data, you know this. You can't take away from all the data, the massive amounts of data sets that I have on the Phoenix phenomenon. Can't take away from it. But what you can do is you can add to it. There's never an end to the accretion of material that can be added to it, and presentations go out everywhere. But instead, they want to double down on the stupid theories they've accepted to be true and then turn around and incur my ire. And I promise you, I only got 175,000 subs right now. But here in the next few months, I'm going to have a whole lot more, and they're going to feel me because I'm not done at all. At all. Let's see. Archaix Live. Let's see what you're looking at. Maybe if I tapped into the right one. Oh, okay. We got some takers. Let me put that to the side. Get out of there. All right. Awesome. Awesome sauce. Turn that off. I can't believe how that rain has been beaten down out there. Common Sense Revolution. The book on the antiquities of Kentucky is from 1824. I have it as a hardback, and I also have it as a PDF. If you were to email me, I may go through my files, find it real quick, and just copy and paste it into the email and give it to you, because I don't have time to do the video right now. I've showed it to my community. It is a hardback book I have from 1824 called The Antiquities of Kentucky. But I also have a PDF of it. So let's see. All right. So let me get my invite link here. All right. I see a Jeff McGregor in there. If I drop you an email from Archaix Live, you know there's a link. All you got to do is hit that link and you'll pop up in my studio. All you got to do is hit that link. If you ask me a question for which I'm not qualified to answer, I'm gonna give you the reins. You can educate me. I don't know everything. Hey man, how you doing? It's been a while. Noah, I'm sending these links out, guys. They're getting them right now. Oh, there he is. There's the man, Andrew Owino. Andrew, you need to send me an email about Cypher. Yeah, you need to send me a totally different email, Andrew. Sarah, you getting that link, Sarah? Oh, I already got one. I got Jeff backstage. Hold on, Jeff. I'm dropping a few more links. If I sent you an email back, there's a link. All you got to do is click onto that link. I'm going to see you. You ain't going to see me, but I'm going to see you. Keith Andrews, I'm going to hold on. I got you right here. I'm going to hold on because I already know. Numbers guy, you're going to go off. You're going to go off, man. And that's not a bad thing either. What's up, bud? What's up, Jeff?
Hey, Jason.
I can hear you good. Your audio's fantastic.
Yeah, your audio is doing a lot better too. You got some new equipment, right?
Yeah, man. I had some people drive hundreds of miles to come over here and force this microphone on me.
Yeah. So can I go ahead and shoot some info at you or some questions?
Yeah. By all means.
So I've been following you for a couple of years, and I sometimes I don't pay attention to some of your recent stuff that you were doing with the cipher and all those things, but you're just nailing it. You just nailed so much stuff, and I don't know what this solution is to get people to pay attention to your chronology, but you've got me going. And I think there should be researchers in academic institutions using your chronology as a baseline to start figuring stuff out when you're going to do archaeology or some kind of history. I just think you've done this amazing thing. I think most of the people following you know that, and it's good you repeat stuff sometimes because it helps us to keep understanding. So I'll try to get to some of the questions that I had for you. It's great to even have you, just to have that opportunity. So I want to know, I don't know how many questions I asked, but if I can keep them short and keep your answers short, can I ask a couple?
Yeah, do it.
So have you ever read the book about the Pharaoh Akhenaten? It was written by Ahmed Osman, and he puts the theory forward about Akhenaten and Moses being the same person. So I saw your whole presentation, and I wonder if this information about Akhenaten existed to the Jews in Persia, whether they just lifted this story and combined it with the other story about the baby in the cradle that you mentioned. But I guess I'm wondering, have you read Osman's theory? Because it just looks so strong. Like, here's a guy who started a one God religion, upset the apple cart in Egypt. And so the story seems similar to the Moses story, but I can buy what you're saying too, that maybe somebody was aware of it in Persia. So can I start with that one?
Yeah. We're dealing with ex post facto imposition of stories that are borrowed from many elements of the past. The baby in a basket narrative that was borrowed by the Jews for the Moses story was taken from the Sargon epos. In the King Sargon throne epos, he was a baby in a basket that was put on a river. He was born of a god, supposedly, and he was placed on a river, and it was an Enaitu priestess that discovered the basket floating and took him in. So he grew up among the priestesses of the Temple of Anu. And this is the background story to give the king some type of legitimate claim to divinity, showing that he had no real father and no real mother. Therefore, he must have been born of one of the gods, which is a very old theme. But yeah, the whole Moses was born in a basket deal, that's dated biblically in the 15th century BC. But the Sargon epos is in cuneiform. It's not a tradition. It's not a legend. It's not something the Jews took and then transposed it to us over centuries in the form of literary documents. This is actually found in the deserts of Iraq. It was found in the Ashurbanipal library in Nineveh. It was found about 60 feet below the ground. And when they translated the tablets in the 1870s and 1880s, they read all about how Sargon was born in a basket. So this story far antedates the whole Moses narrative completely. It was already known before they invented the Moses deal. Now, the word Moses actually comes from that dynasty. We had Teth, Tit, and Thothmoses. These were pharaonic dynastic throne names in Egypt. So by the time Akhenaten decided that he was going to abandon the most ancient god of Egypt, which was Amun, because his name was Akhenaten, and he changed his name to Akhenaten, which was now in service of the sun, the Aten disk, and he abandoned the old gods of the Aeneid and the Ogdoad. He abandoned the old gods of Egypt, as you know, and built the Amarna complex, which is in the dead middle of Egypt. He tried to unify the two Egypts. Do you remember in my presentations where I've told you that Hollywood and establishment historians, Egyptologists, are always trying to convince you that there's only been one Egypt, and that anytime they're talking about Karnak and Waset and Thebes, and they're talking about the Valley of the Dead and the pharaohs, every time they're talking about this in the books and on the documentaries, what do you see? You see pyramids. But there are no pyramids anywhere near those cities for hundreds of miles. There are 137 to 139. No one's quite sure. I'm not willing to say 138 yet, but the number 138 does appear in encyclopedias for the number of pyramids in northern Egypt. I don't know. I haven't been there to count them, but there are no pyramids in southern Egypt. There are no pyramids to the south until you get to the Nubian domains. And then those are very small compared to the ones that are around Giza, Saqqara, the gigantic pyramids that were all antediluvian, pre-flood architecture. So the Moses story, I don't know this guy or who you're quoting. I'm only familiar with his name, but I am familiar with the theory because Emanuel Velikovsky wrote an entire book about it, about Akhenaten and Moses. And matter of fact, the title is called Moses and Akhenaten. This was written by Emanuel Velikovsky, and he went through all the evidence as well that the Moses story seems to have been built off various elements that were taken ex post facto. So if a bunch of Jewish scribes were in the Babylonian libraries in the 5th century, like under the politician Nehemiah and the priest Ezra, and they're putting together all these Old Testament compositions, then it was already well known in the 5th century all about Sargon being born in a basket, placed on a river, rescued by an Inaitu priestess, and it was also known that Sargon went to the top of the mountain to talk to a god. This is all in the Sargon epos. You've even seen pictures of that depicted when Sargon's name was changed. Now, Near Eastern scholars are going to try and tell you it was his son, but it's not. Because of great deeds that were done in antiquity, men's names were changed by the people. Like Nimrod's name at the Tower of Babel was changed to Amraphel. Amraphel's ancient Semitic, which literally means he made us fall, meaning the king messed up and made the whole nation fall. So that's why Nimrod was changed to Amraphel. But Amraphel is nothing but a variant of the Amorite Hammurabi. And Hammurabi, you've heard of as the law code of Hammurabi. It's all the same. It's all the same person. And he was the lawgiver. Hammurabi of Babylon was of the fifth dynasty of the Amorites, the Amuru, the Westerners. This whole idea of Moses being the lawgiver is stolen from the whole Amorite syllabus and syllabaries that tell the story of how Sargon became Naram-Sin. You've seen the stele of Naram-Sin when he climbs to the mountain and he's attacking, he's fighting these little dudes, all these little guys, and he looks like a horned giant. And it's called the stele of Naram-Sin. It's the same guy. It's not his son, it's him. But it's under a different iteration of his life from other deeds when he became the giant slayer. Later, he was called Bilgamesh, which was recently mistranslated about 100 years ago to Gilgamesh. But his real title was Bilgamesh. And he went to the divine mountain, talked to a god, received the law, and then gave the law to the people, and was famous in Babylonia as Hammurabi, the lawgiver. It's all Moses. It's all the story of Moses. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head with that. And the story of Akhenaten is a borrow. It's part of that. It's part of that narrative. This is what happens when you write a history 1,000 years after the original events, and then you borrow piecemeal different sections of other cultures' histories to put your narrative together. This is how almost the entire Old Testament was composed.
I guess I'll have to be more specific too with this data that I come across and make sure. So I think you're saying you haven't read Osman's book, which may not be a big deal.
I have not.
There's a couple things that I'd like to hear your response on as well, like specific things. And one is Akhenaten, as far as I know, the story, Amarna was buried and nobody really knew about this guy. It's like they erased him from the history books. And then Amarna got uncovered in this century or the last century. And then they started discovering, who was this guy? And then they discovered the bust of Nefertiti. And then they're like, this is King Tut's father. So I think there's been I think Akhenaten was unknown for a couple millennium, but maybe the Jews in Persia were aware of it, and then whatever sources they had about this story, maybe those don't exist anymore. But
he would have been remembered. There's no way that a man for 31 years can change the capital of Egypt, then rule over the north and the south, the two Egypts, and from the middle of the desert, completely suppress all the priestly colleges and cults. They hated his guts to the point where they conspired with General Horemheb. General Horemheb was the one that ended up killing Akhenaten. We don't know what happened to Nefertiti, but Nefertiti was Hittite. She was the daughter of a Hittite princess. Nefertiti was absolutely beautiful, but she was a Muru. Amuru just means Westerner, but these were Caucasians that were known as the Westerners in the ancient Near East. And her pedigree, though, was Hittite. And I don't know if General Horeb killed her or took her for his wife or what. She is one of the most famous, most beautiful queens of Egypt, but in the historical record, she's Amorite. She's of Amorite descent.
Yeah, everything I've read about it, it mirrors what you said, that she was Hittite. And I never read that Akhenaten got killed. I don't know where you got that, but it seems like he had to flee, and everybody with him in Amarna seemed to have just disappeared. So it again kind of matches this Moses narrative. But here, let me get to the more interesting thing.
That's pretty interesting in itself.
Yeah, what they found in Amarna, they found a whole library of correspondences that were addressed to Akhenaten called the Amarna letters. And in those letters, there's a series of rulers who are under Egyptian territory who are begging for a rescue. They say they're being surrounded. They say, you had to come send the army now or we're going to fall. And there's not just one, there were many leaders, and they're all in this area of present day Israel. And so this is new information, which I'm not sure everybody's digested, but some people on the Christian side have got all excited because they've compared these cities in these Amarna letters that fell to the ones in the biblical account. And there are people saying it matches up 100%. And I'm going to go verify it. I finally got to my Amarna letters book in my Bible, and I'm going to do that test. But what's more interesting is this Akhenaten is in the same time frame as maybe the time when when the Hebrews or the Judean group of people is just taking over and conquering these cities. And you're hearing it from the other side in the Amarna letters. You're hearing the pleas from the people who are under attack, and it's a whole different vantage point on how that area got conquered. But it seems to be like Akhenaten seemed to not send the army and let this area get conquered, which seemed to favor these Haiburu people. So that was the other thing I was going to say, and maybe that's a long question, and I don't know if I'm going to get to ask you on the Phoenician.
It's not a long question, but I would like to comment on that. So, just to inform my community what you're talking about, because I am very well versed in this entire period of history. So what he's referring to are the 377 cuneiform tablets that were sent from northern Israel all into the southern Judean regions before there was an Israel and Judah. And these kings and these rulers were panicking because of some robber barons and bandits that were entering the area that the archaeologists are calling the Hapiri. It's Werner Keller in the 1950s published a book called The Bible is History, where he revealed that archaeologists had found these 377 cuneiform letters that were begging the king of Egypt, not specific which king they were begging, but it is the Akhenaten period. You're absolutely correct. It was the Amarna period that this happened. And these 377 cuneiform documents coming from all the kings in the area of where later Israel and Judah were in a blind panic asking for Egypt to send help, because Egypt had already previously declared to be a protectorate over that region because the enemy were the Hittites to the north. But in the Amarna letters, we find Hittite incursions, Amorites. Amorites are filling the area, but to the far south were coming a new people, and they were extremely violent, and they were called there's various names. One is Habiri, and Hapiri. It's unsure if it's a B or a P. But Werner Keller in the 1950s published his book called The Bible is History. And it's a fascinating couple of chapters about this invasion and how the king of Egypt was absolutely silent and did not respond to any of these. And the kings and the cities that sent those ceased to exist after that. And this too may be an additional layering to the whole Joshua and the Israelites, taking on Argob and Bashan, and the Israelites defeating the Canaanites, because these are Canaanite cuneiform letters and pleas and begging the king of Egypt. So I know exactly what you're talking about, and yes, it would have been another accretion that would have been used to build this whole story, this whole biblical story. So yeah, absolutely.
Wow, Jason, thanks for answering that. And I feel guilty. I'm going to ask you one more, though. Just a comment on the Phoenicians. my research is leading to the conclusion that the Phoenician people just came out of nowhere, and that all the civilizational writings of the Mediterranean, which you talked about recently, it's like all these writings got obliterated. The Hittites got obliterated. The seafarers tried to conquer Egypt. The Trojans got invaded. It seems to me to look like all one operation. And even this thing, it could be the same thing in Israel. What we were just talking about with all these stories with Joshua and the conquering of these lands. But these Phoenician people, I just wonder, like, are this a real people, or are these just the people who are in these regions that were obliterated, and then they were sort of regrouped under a new empire called the Phoenicians? And this is where we may get the original sort of usury-based Jewish banker-controlled empire. I think that the Phoenicians might be that. I've seen one source this guy had read on YouTube that was talking about a story where some Trojan women had been enslaved by these Phoenicians. So if you would comment, I don't know if it's too long on this show, if you got other questions, but at some point I'd love to hear your take on the origins of the Phoenicians and what they represented in this post-Bronze Age world.
Okay, I can answer it in a pretty much in a nutshell. But it will require people to go to other sources because I'm not an expert on this. I do know what I've read. First of all, we have to judge things by their effects. The Phoenicians seem to have been the orchestrators, organizers, and the main spearhead of the Sea People's Federation. When the Sea People's Federation came into the Mediterranean, they came in two major waves. These two major waves happened to coincide with ancient Irish annals talking about two times that Irish navies left and didn't come back for a while. And when they came back, they found another group in control, and they had to fight for recontrol of this. Is the Tuatha De Danann, and they had to fight for recontrol and repossession of their own island. However, even those who had occupied the island in their absence, called the Furbolgs, and before them, the Fomori, spoke the same language, just a different variant. So we have to judge things by their effects. When the Sea People's Federation was over with, who was left behind from the two invasions of Egypt? Egypt couldn't defeat these people, but it could defend themselves. The Sea Peoples came in and took Sardinia, Corsica, Malta, Italy. They took almost all the Aegean. They collapsed the Mycenaean Empire. They collapsed Ilium. Their overland armies came by foot, and they marched from Europe, and they collapsed the Hittite Empire, burned all the cities. An empire that had lasted 7 centuries. So it was a pincher move by land and by sea, but the main war was over the Black Sea trade, because the city of Troy was situated to block all trade in between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean. But the Black Sea was absolutely rich, full of Northern European Phoenician peoples that wanted to trade with others without being harried and taxed. But the Trojans are painted, the Trojans and Ilium were painted as being the great heroes and noble, but that's only Homer, and he wrote that 400 years after the events that he's depicting. The real story is they were blocking all Dardanelles, all the Dardanelles. They were blocking all sea traffic between the Black Sea, which was rich in cultures, trying to trade with cultures in the Mediterranean. They were overtaxing. There was piracy involved, and they were doing it for the Hittites because the kingdom of Ilium was subservient to Hattusis and of the Hittites. So the whole Trojan War deal wasn't some grand Greek kingdom that was at war. It was actually a slave servile kingdom that was a satellite kingdom of the Hittites, and it was the Hittites being bullies, and the people of Northern Europe came around through the Strait of Gibraltar. They came from the Atlantic, and they landed in Sardinia and Corsica, southern Italy, in Malta, and they made deals with all the islanders when the islanders saw how many people were invading, and they saw the fleets. And in the Egyptian records on the temple of Medinet Habu, it specifically shows, and in Egypt they said it was a conspiracy of the islanders. they conspired with these new people that came in. These new people, they were from ancient Ireland, which at that time had a massive infrastructure and a huge population, and probably some from the Britain side as well. But these ancient Irish Phoenicians invaded and literally took over the entire Mediterranean world. And when the war was over, and when the wars were over, a cataclysm happened. You know, I've documented this well, 1135 BC. This is the original story of the Atlantis deal. This is when the sun went dark. Pharaoh Seknakti recorded that the whole world was falling apart, and red dust and red rain were falling down. His last year of rule was the first year of Ramesses III. And in the first year of Ramesses III, a tsunami hits Egypt. There's armies everywhere. The whole Mediterranean's in disarray. So the last year of Pharaoh Seknakti is the first year of Ramesses III, and the disasters that both pharaohs recorded were in the same year. So the Phoenicians were the only power left standing after this cataclysm. And what happened to them? They took the fertile land that they saw right there, and one of their sister cultures, which were the Philistines. The Philistines were the ones that took in their brethren called the Anakim and the Rephaim. And this is where the legends and myths of the Jews actually starts bleeding into true history, because now in the book of Judges we have the Philistine Pentapolis in the cities of Gath, Gaza, Ekron, Ashdod, and Ascalon, and they're there populated by Philistines with their Trojan style hats. They are cousins of the Phoenicians, and they are feared by the Egyptians, the Amorites, all the other local Canaanites. They're feared by everybody because they're very advanced. They're a mariner race. And they came from some ancient civilization called Caphtorum, according to the Bible. So to answer in a nutshell about the Phoenicians, I'm going to have to say that you're going to have to defer to people like Michael Tessarion, some people who have spent their whole life studying ancient Ireland. I just have a whole bunch of old books about Ireland. But the reason why Ireland is the key to understanding the origin of the Phoenician is because what the ancients called the Irish. The Irish called them the Ogygians. And you know, in my own research on the Phoenix Cataclysm, 1687 BC, the entire world was destroyed and civilizations just went to all points of the earth after the Ogygian collapse. So at one point, it seems like around the 17th century BC, this culture was ruling a worldwide Heliolithic maritime empire. It was a sea trading empire, and it's the reason why the great red-bearded giants of Easter Island and Tiahuanaco, Bolivia, Cuzco, these great statues showing the red-bearded there are all around the world. These traditions of Viracocha and Varuna and Boquica and Quetzalcoatl and the return and the dragon kings. Remember, dragon faced meant they could grow a long beard, and the color for the dragons in China was red. So this I kind of entertained too many tangents on that, but yeah, it's Michael Tessarion. It's a lot of the older books you'll find from the 1800s that address Ogygia. They're all talking about ancient Ireland.
Amazing, Jason. I'm going to have to go back and watch this a few times and then check sources, but you've got such an amazing command of history, and you're weaving together so many things with logic from the scraps and fragments of history. So just amazing job, Jason. Thank you. I'm all done.
All right, man. You. It's good talking to you again, Jeff, and I'll holler at you later.
All right.
So before I get to Andrew, I just want to make one comment. The earliest of all Phoenician historians is Sanchuniathon. And Sanchuniathon is dated 1100 BC, which is very interesting. This is where the Phoenicians enter the historical record. It's right after the Trojan War. It's right after the Phoenix Cataclysm. Atlantis is destroyed, 1135 BC. And then the very first time we have a Phoenician historian, his name is Sanchuniathon of Tyre, or Tyre, however you say it. So it's very interesting how the myths and traditions actually starts bleeding into the actual historical record. And we have many authorities from antiquity that cite Sanchuniathon and in his early writings. But he was he is officially the earliest Phoenician historian, cosmologist, historian, astronomer, chronologist, whatever you want to call it. He was all those things. But it was right there at the exact same time in history, about 250 years before Homer, Theognis, and Hesiod even wrote their epics about the Trojan War. All right. Andrew, my brother. What's up, man? Uh-oh. Did you mute yourself? Hold on. Don't touch nothing. I'm going to unmute you. There you go. Hold on. I'm trying. Can't unmute your guest because they chose to mute themselves. All right. You need to unmute yourself. There you go. There you go.
Okay. So how are you?
I can hear you. I'm good, man. I'm good.
Firstly, I want to say thank you. And specifically because since I received the Archaix Academy, though I didn't manage to finish the course because of the machine I was using was not mine. It was my cousin, so he took it. But since those days, I have been receiving a lot of spiritual awareness just since that day that I received the package. And so I want to say thank you very much, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
And so today I want to talk about a day count system that I have been indulging in with Diana Inez. And so I want to start by saying this. Phoenix runs the day count system. And the way that I found out is the first Phoenix cycle, if I reduce it to its lowest, it is 12. And the second one reduces to 6, and the third one reduces to 9. Now, since the first one reduces to 12, that for me starts the day by half, 12 hours. So 12 hours plus 12 hours is 24 hours. So the first Phoenix cycle reduces to 12, which is 12 hours, and the second one reduces to simple. It is 138 plus 138, which is 276. So it reduces to 276.
I think I get what you're talking about. You're talking. So when the Phoenix cycle happens, it happens in orders of magnitude, like 3, 6, 9. Is that what you're saying?
3, 6, 9.
Yeah.
So the first one.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So the first one, the first one reduces to 3, and the second one reduces to 6, and the third one reduces to 9. So now, since 24 hours, it reduces back to 6, and the third cycle, which is for 2114, reduces to 9. Then esoterically, it is a 6 and a 9, or a 69, if you get it. Do you get it?
I understand where you're going. I understand what you're saying. So I had Face Diaper had shown me a chart that he drew, and kind of blew my mind because I had never he showed me that the actual, according to the very charts that I've published that show the dates for the Phoenix, he showed me how, look, man, this right here, here's the actual date you told me in Annus Mundi that this happened. Here it is in your Chronicon. And he showed me that in numerology, it was a 3. And it just happened to be on a Phoenix year when I, according to my chart, Phoenix was visible, but there was no known destruction. It was just something witnessed in the sky. Then he showed me, look, man, here it is right now, 138 years later. Look at this. When you add up this date, Now it's a 6. Now all of a sudden we had regional destruction, and it was witnessed in the sky, and there was red rain, red mud, but it wasn't hemispheric or total wipeout of civilization or nothing. It was just something local. So he showed me the next. Look, 138 years later, now when you add up all these, it becomes a 9. Now look, whole hemispheric and regional destructions everywhere, massive fallout, half the world sees the phoenix in the sky, all kinds of bad things happen. And he's showing me, man, he says, dude, these are orders of magnitude, and it's perfect with the phoenix chronology itself. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, that's what he showed me as well.
So what I'm talking about basically is a half a day plus a half a day, which is the first phoenix cycle, which is 138, plus the second cycle, which should be another 138. So that is 138 plus 138.
That's
so
276.
Yeah, so that is 12 plus 12. If you get what I'm trying to put across, because 1 plus 3 plus 8 is 12.
Yeah, I'm just not into numerology, man. I see what you're saying. You're adding the digits of 138, 1 plus 3 plus 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when you add 138 and 138, you have 276. So you're adding 2 plus 7 plus 6, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never really done anything that way, but I know a lot of people that do. I know a lot of people that derive a lot of value from those type of mathematical systems. I've never really done it.
Okay. So if I do it in that way, I get the perfect cycle of that 3, 6, and 9. Or yes, the perfect cycle of 3, 6, and 9. Every other day, 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9. Now, so what we have is if you reduce 24 hours to its lowest, we have 6, which is the second phoenix cycle, and the third one is 414, which is 9. So esoterically, that is 69. 6 and 9.
Okay.
And 6 and 9, 6 and 9 really looks like yin and yang. There's above, so below.
It looks just like a yin and yang, yeah. Looks like the Cancer. It looks like the Cancer constellation and a yin yang, yeah. Yeah.
So, but there is something unique about Nemesis X object, because every single Nemesis X object reduces back to 9.
It's an 18. It's an 18. Cycle. Every one of them.
Yeah. Yes, every one of them reduces back to 9. Now,
that is so crazy, man. I'm going to tell you now, the whole idea of numerology, I'm not a numerologist, but the whole entire concept of applying gematria and numerology that so many of you guys have done it blows my mind. The reason it does is because I didn't date any of these things. I did not date the Phoenix phenomenon. I did not date these 138-year deals. You guys have seen my sources. I pulled all these from other. It just happens to be every one of these disasters is 138 years apart. And then Nemesis X object, all of them are 792 years apart. I didn't date any of these. And so when you guys find these mathematical relationships and these patterns in the distribution of these actual calendrical points, that just blows my mind. It's just more evidence to me that we do live in a simulated context, that we're inside a mathematical structure, not a real reality.
Oh, yeah. So I have been talking to this lady, Diana Ines, and she did introduce me to a certain way of doing days, and so now if I am doing the Ines date count system, I am getting into Phoenix dial, and the part of 9, which is the prophet of frequency. So when you're doing the Ines system, when you're doing, there's a formula of doing her dates. So when you're doing her dates, there's a perfect count of dates, and then there is the power of 9, which shows up every single on every single day. That's the point that's the point I'm trying to put across. Now, before I make some very, very big claims, I would like to say that the number 9 is the sum of all the numbers. It's true.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would like to say that number 9 is the sum of all numbers, even in repetitions. Now, my claim is that Nemesis X object could be or is the all-seeing eye. That's my claim. Okay. Now, when you are doing the Archaix date count system, there is 8 parts to it. 1, there is the number, and then there is the tarot, and then there is the heavyweight and the lightweight. There is the essence. There is the number leaving the building, and then there is Sharon Jeffers. There's the power of 9, and then there is the S wave and the P wave. Now those are the 8 part of it. Okay. So Diana Innes has done these methods on her YouTube channel, Sages of Faith, and she's on Facebook as Diana Innes, and she has a Facebook group, Sages of Faith. So I'll get back to Diana Innes. Now I did her system with exactly with Donald Trump, and this is where I'm going to really shock some people, because Donald Trump is like the magnum opus of the events that are happening around the world. Now Donald Trump is the 47th president. So if you add 4 plus 7, you get 11. So for me, I thought that was because 1-1. Okay, if you add 4 plus 7, you get 11. So 1-1 for me, I saw it as 1 man, 1 woman, 1-1. So it was Donald Trump was also the 45th president. So if you add 4 plus 5, that is 9. So esoterically, you will see 9/11. It was the 11th president. It was the 47th president, which 47 reduces to 11. It was the 45th president, which reduces to 9. So esoterically, I see 911 there. And Trump's Tower, or the Twin Towers, the 2 T's, Trump's Tower and the Twin Tower. So the day was 11th, the month for the month of September, and yes, so the day was 11th, the month of September, and the 9th month. So that is also 911. Again, one of the characteristics of the Archaix date count system is that after every 9 days, the 10th day is a palindrome, a 10-day reset cycle. This happens when the heavyweight and the lightweight number mirror each other. For example, in 2025, we have 51-15, 61-16, 71-17, 81-18. Now, on September 11th, 2001, the date fell on a 41-14 palindrome. So 911 was an emergency call for resets. Whatever happened on September 11th was kind of an emergency call for a reset. Yeah.
Okay, Andrew. Andrew, I'm gonna have to stop you. I'm gonna have to stop you. There's no question here. You're giving us a thesis, and
yes,
yeah, I got a lot of people that just they're not following, man, because this is too complicated. It's you have a question for me. This is Q&A. I said this you can go through the whole history of the world with numbers and always find new things, new discoveries. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got any questions for me at all or whatever? Because we're gonna have to move on to another guest.
Okay, so I just wanted to do something to you, something new about the date count system.
Well, the beginning of your thesis here, I was already familiar with it. I didn't know anything about the palindromes. We've already documented many palindromes in the history of the world's calendar, but palindromes connected to days that it's just You have to understand, man, it's really hard for me to cross that line into gematria and numerology. That's why I have no videos on gematria. I have no videos on numerology. These are things that other YouTubers like to do. I can't. It's hard for me to convey. A lot of people know what I'm talking about, but Archaix is source-back data, source-back material. I do believe we live in the mathematical construct, but I show it in different ways, showing all these beautiful mathematical relationships between the historical events. But when we begin to manipulate mathematical sequences and to derive meaning from those, it doesn't mean that we have an isolated particulars that are not true. But it does mean that we've gone from the objective to the subjective, and now I can't cite any of that. I can't. You understand? Yeah. In my own research, I can't say, "Hey, check this out. This happened because of this." I can't cite any of that. So that's why I just never really, I never really get into that. What you need to do is draw all this out in charts. You know what I mean? And publish those in the Archaix Facebook group so people can follow what you're talking about. You may start something with that. But otherwise, if you really want something to play with, you need to send me an email because so we can get you in that cipher group.
Okay then. So okay then. Okay. All right then.
Yeah, that's send me that email now before you forget, and then tonight we'll send you that invite.
Okay then.
All right, bro.
So another thing, I have a request. I think Diana Ines, she's wanting a talk with you if you can. She's on YouTube as Sages of Faith because she's doing this.
You'll have to send that in an email. My email's public.
Okay.
Everybody knows my email. You have to send that in an email. Thank you, bro.
Right. Okay.
What's up, man?
Hey, Jason, how you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, perfectly. I like
Awesome.
that backdrop. I like that Phoenix.
You know what it is, Jason? This is the projection of the one and only library that would be able to contain all your books in one place.
It looks like a pretty big library.
It would have some space for other volumes as well.
Yeah, man.
Jason, good talking to you. I know you've been crazy busy since our meet at Virginia Beach. You've been through roller coasters and all that stuff.
Oh man, you know what? Virginia Beach was awesome, man.
It was definitely, and sorry to hear all the fallouts and everything that blows that you get, but the only man who could withstand is you.
Oh man, anybody can do what I do.
Would have crumbled, and cried somewhere behind the shed somewhere, and that's it. But you keep.
How do you know I didn't go behind my shed and cry? How do you know?
Even if you did, it's all right. It's all right, man. So, not to gibberish and waste time, I sent you that question, and it has a little bit of like a background through all your teachings and conveying us the history, the very deep history of Goddess was the first coming through all that. It's a little bit of my own kind of thesis, but I asked you about Martin Luther, and was it a sort of an organized, deep covert psyop involving the Vatican, the tiny hats, and all that stuff, because of the background, what it was bringing? After the split and the Reformation and all the denominations that appeared and churches and everything, even if Vatican put a huge resistance, the seed was already sown in a form of the Bible, which all those churches carried as the holy book, the idolatry, the tree that they worship. It doesn't matter. 100 years, about 100 years after the Reformation, the King James version was printed, that almost unanimously, I think, all churches accepted. And then this, in my opinion, led to this layout of patriarch-led religions, Islam, Judaism, Christianity, in all formats. It's all man-led, like a patriarch-led. Holy Father, Son, Holy Ghost, even though that Holy Mother, Holy Ghost leads to that deep ancient spider grandmother you spoke of, the goddess, the women that were revered with their psyche powers immense during the vapor canopy, and then how afterwards it got reversed because men got this physical more power and all that stuff. How do you see that playing in a more of a psyop, very deep psyop, this Martin Luther split?
Well, one, when it comes to the common denominator in many of the older cultures in both hemispheres is the fact that females did have power over males, and the line was always transferred through the female. But I'm going to have to say that that's before Apollo banished the older zodiac in the 8th century, when he made a contract with Gaia, Mother Earth, and they banished Orion and Canis Major, the great dog, and the little dog, and the great bear, Ursa Major, and Ursa Minor, the little bear, the circumpolar stars, the 7 sisters of the Pleiades, all of them banished. This was the original zodiac, and it's inclined to the ecliptic by about 60 degrees. The goddess religions and the power of the matriarchy over males seems to have been a product of our world moving in a totally different ecliptic. It wasn't on Sol's ecliptic. Sol's ecliptic seems to be lower base vibrational realm where men by brute force are able to do a whole lot of things that for some reason we weren't really able to do when the world was on the pre-Velikovsky ecliptic. You understand that Immanuel Velikovsky is the one that brought that research to the world about the 8th century BC. The sun stopped in the sky. Every calendar in the world changed from 360.
That's the 713 BC, right? The cataclysm.
Yes, the cataclysm was BC. So, I don't know if we're mixing things up. About the patriarchy and matriarchy. I see it further back to where Earth jumped ecliptics. And remember the Teich's-Bode law. Our world does not belong here. If you want to believe in the standard scientific model that's perpetuated upon us, their own arithmetic shows that Earth is an intruder planet. Whether the sky is simulated or it's really showing us a real solar system, it doesn't even matter. The arithmetic that we've been given by our scientists as the distribution of the worlds from Mercury all the way to Neptune shows there is a perfect mathematical sequencing from the distance of the sun to the next planet, always by pi, and it shows where every planet is supposed to be. But Earth doesn't fit the pattern. And this makes sense of what Velikovsky discovered. It also makes sense that the ancient zodiacs don't look anything like the zodiacs today. It also makes sense of why all the temples before the 9th century BC were all the archaeoastronomy is off. Everything's pointing in a totally different direction than it should be. So I'm going to say that the matriarchy patriarchy deal goes further back, but you're talking about something more recent in the last 500 years with Martin Luther. You're referring to the 95 thesis, right? That he tacked on the Church of Wittenberg. Yeah. And it started the whole Protestant Reformation. So basically what you're proposing, men, is that the story that we've been given where Martin Luther tacked the 95 thesis on the deal, may not be true, and that it was designed because they already knew that Protestantism was going to take off. It was already taken off. It was going to be uncontrollable. It was going to be uncontrollable. So what you're proposing here is that they went ahead and hijacked it early on, then letting it just spin away from the Catholic Church.
Yeah, and that way they're in control. And then less than 100 years later, both Catholic churches and all churches almost like universally accepted the King James Version of the then non-existent like one universal Bibles. I think he used Erasmus version, Martin Luther, some Vulgate, some Old Testament. There was not one unified. And then after King James Version came in, there was no resistance about the book, the very book. So it kind of hints me that it could have been orchestrated. Let's let them split, think they have autonomy. Let's think they have now whatever, preach whatever they want. Most of them to this date recite the Apostles' Creed and give this to a holy Catholic Church the allegiance. That's what I wanted. Maybe you have some insight that Martin Luther is not as independently causing such turmoil and almost like, I don't want to say get away with it, but he did, because then later.
You do raise a good point, because when John Huss did the same thing, they murdered him. Remember?
Yeah,
it started the Great Bohemian War.
Yeah.
So you make a good point. Why didn't they murder him instantly like they did John Huss? So I do want to add something that supports your idea here. I'm not for or against it, because I'm going to admit that even in my Chronicon, I think I have pretty much the standard historical information about Martin Luther and the Protestant Reformation and the general controversy as I found in old books. But let me tell you what does kind of support this. In some of my presentations, I've told you guys that from the very inception of the printing press that was invented in the West. Now, the Koreans already had a primitive version of block text printing, but it wasn't a full machine where they could make a bunch of documents. It was just one document at a time. They could use blocks. The Koreans have it. So the Koreans did invent the printing press first, but they really didn't. It was a prototype that was one thing at a time. But Coster of Haarlem did invent the printing press, but another guy got the credit for it, and he's the guy that got Jewish funding. And from the very beginning, the Gutenberg Press, from the very beginning, when it was publishing books, it was already hijacked so that only the official books that were going to be that the church and the state wanted printed were going to be printed. And I'm gonna tell you now, for the first 80 years, it was nothing but Bibles and hymnals that were published. Well,
all religion texts.
That's right, all religious tracts and all that stuff. It wasn't until the early 1500s that other now histories, but all the books, there was many of them. Libraries were full throughout Europe, but they were all, and monasteries were full, but they were all handwritten books, and some of them were worm-eaten because they were old. Any book that's 300 years older, or it's taking damage, it's falling apart. I have books. The oldest book I have in my library right here is 1664, but I have quite a few from the 1680s and 90s. I have a lot from the 1700s, and you know that my pre-Civil War 1800s collection is massive now. So, but these books do not last. They fall apart, they get worm-eaten and all that. So the printing press, and at one time they had almost 100 presses operating across Europe by the late 1500s, and it was only approved stuff. So there's a lot of good material that never made it into printed format. And this is the exact same time of the Protestant Reformation.
Yeah. That's why, Jason, I wanted to ask this question of you, because you have so much deeper insights. You definitely didn't have enough, even with Chronicon, to expand in your Tiny Hat series and all that, to expand in all the details, because it smells like the very controlled psyop, very deeply controlled, that only several powers in the world could have pulled off at that time. And one of them is that bridging the gap of tiny hats with the Catholic Church, or overtaking them and kind of letting it ride along, and them being the culprits of the Islam and Judaism, of course. So in essence, one power controls all three major religions. So why not pull this off? And like you said, the husk was killed pretty fast. And Martin Luther was able to carry on and on and on, and that wave was almost like perpetuated by support, by the funding, by opening new churches, splitting and everything, as if it was okay by church. It was never okay if it happened like by spontaneously, organically. That's why I wanted to get your input into it, because it feels like one of those very deep psyops, kind of like we're seeing now. Oh, the Iran is gonna go to war, to this, to that. Nothing is gonna happen until.
Listen, you remember a video I did about 3 years ago where I explained that Israel is not dumb enough. They are never going to destroy the Dome on the Rock. what they're going to do is initiate missile exchanges with other countries, and then after in one of these exchanges, they're going to have another country, and they're going to blow up the Dome of the Rock, and they're swear up and down it was going to be one of those missiles. The missile did that, and then this is going to cause all kinds of shit, but they're going to be able to build their temple once they move that Dome of the Rock. I still holding to that. Nothing changes in that prediction video.
And Jason, as you're speaking, there are now currently, if somebody can, is watching CNN or whatever, the PSYOP media, they are actually showing those rockets flying all over Israel and this and that. So as you're speaking, it could be one of them hitting that. I wouldn't be surprised.
You know what? It's so transparent, man. Once you see it, because even what's happened with the truther community mirrors exactly what you're proposing with Martin Luther. And what I mean is that I know because I've been approached. I've been approached, and I even put their pictures on YouTube for everybody to see. And these same people even paid me in public in front of witnesses to take their pictures off of YouTube. I took their money and I honored it, and I've never showed their pictures again. But I know for a fact that these intelligence agencies are scooping up all these content creators. And I know that people I've done videos with in the past have signed that contract. I've seen their message change. I've seen all kinds of their content change. I've seen all the evidence that people get co-opted for whatever reason. That's their business. I'm not signing the contract. But I'm telling you now, the same thing you're proposing with Martin Luther about when they see a movement taking off, the first thing they want to do is they want to get on the ground and make it look and just get their fingers in all things, and then they start guiding it while it's grassroots. They guide it. Listen, man, they have attempted that with me multiple times. There have been many attempts to infiltrate Archaix's inner circle. You would not believe all the crap we've had to deal with in the past 3.5 years. It's just, and that's what it is. It's exactly what it is.
And Jason, because you're well informed, you're not easily deceived. That's why you're still here.
That's why I like you, man. One who is properly informed is not easily deceived. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I think the reason they let me run my mouth the way I do is because in the overall scheme of things, I attack concepts. I don't give a damn about pronouns. I don't care about these lackeys that are out there ruling, who's ruling, who's over the WEF, who's ruling Ukraine. I never talk about the rulers. I don't care. People, all these puppets that are in position of power, I don't care. It's so irrelevant to me. I don't engage. And that's another thing. One of the messages in Archaix is that we're not here to save the world. So once you lose the idea that this world is even worth saving, once you understand that you're an immortal spirit passing through an experience, everything changes. Once you can adopt that mindset and realize, damn, this is all about a personal relationship with Source. And the only way I can really grow close to Source is by my interactions with fellow souls that are also in the construct with me. And when I regard life as being a sojourn, a pilgrimage, I'm not here to fight the system. The system's always going to be here. Even after my life sim is over and other people have taken my place, the same evil construct will continue to be the same way. There has never, ever been a golden age. This construct is designed. It is designed to sharpen us. It is designed for us to grow, mature, adapt, move forward. And I think that's another reason why they just don't really mess with me, because I am not advocating fighting the system. I am not advocating giving up all these pronouns, because every single puppet that's in any type of position of rulership over us will simply be replaced by another puppet.
100%.
Simple as that.
And also to your point, Jason, that way you can divert that energy from being exhausted of worrying about changing anything that's outside of your control. You're diverting it into building, into creating, and giving such value. That's
man. I agree.
And on that point, want to just your insight on the Archaix Academy. I know you're split into multiple points and all that stuff. At some point, I'm waiting. I know it's on your mind somewhere.
Men, have you already done all 26 courses?
Yes.
Okay. Well, about 6 or 7 days from now, you'll have 10 more. Yeah.
Nice. And
yeah, they're already ready. I just got to edit them.
One little thing, I know a lot of us from the academy are salivating when you say, "Oh, in the office and this and that." How about a little chat here and there with the academy students of yours? Go over, let's say, like a Zoom type meet or whatever meet. Let's say, bring your questions from first 4 courses, 4 courses, 5 courses, something like that we bounce around. Maybe pull them together.
It's actually a pretty good idea.
Not course by course, lesson by lesson, hold you by hand, because we all already know the material more or less. And if there are questions, we bring them, educated already questions, and then you maybe guide us or clarify something,
That's really a good idea. Men, won't you send me an email so I can put that on my to-do list? I take emails and I put them in a to-do file. Can you send me an email and just remind me of that proposition?
Yeah. One of the days that you clear the clouds and block all the stuff, and then say, okay, let me get to the education part.
No, actually, I'm gonna tell you now. Is Cypher had me shut down for a while because of all the controversy with that, and then turn around. I had more participation than I ever anticipated, and then once I made the software available to the subscribers instead of me doing the predictions for them. And once I allowed them to download it, oh my God, man, these guys have formed a whole network of all kinds of data analysis and data harvesting, and they know all the websites in the world to go to now to get the exact information you need to put in the system. You know what? These dudes are blowing my mind.
Beautiful.
Man.
It's beautiful.
It actually freed up a lot of my time. That's why I've been doing videos every other day now. It freed up all my time to get our academy done, to get more live videos, this Q&A. I have 2 more Tiny Hat videos soon to be released on Archaix TV because we're going to continue that series. But yeah, man, it's just a lot of things shut me down, man. Personal relationships, just different things, business with Barry. A lot of things hit me all at the exact same time in my life. But you know what? I'm right here on YouTube talking to you about it, so I'm just fine.
And I'm listening, so I don't stress over it. Just I had an opportunity, injected a little bit. What one smart man said: must plant a mustard seed, and then it will grow.
Right.
And I leave it, like you say, and leave it in the informed field, and forget about it. And one day it will materialize, and it'll be fine, as if no time, no moments passed. Everything is fine.
Absolutely,
no stress over anything.
Hell yeah! Anybody want to join into the live chat? You got. I'm running. I still got one more guy, the numbers guy. That's right, Kevin. But I've already sent the link to everybody that appeared in the email. I don't know what happened to them, man. They just kind of bailed out on me.
Maybe they got detracted elsewhere. I don't know. But it was good talking to you. Hopefully others will ask questions. And Jason, I'll send you an email. Yeah, and one of the reasons I didn't jump on the cipher also because it would be just too much at the same time. I'm waiting till the clouds clear and everything, because I had seen your personal things and all the ways you're being pulled is just sometimes it almost feels unfair. Are you really a human or a cyborg? But I shook your hand. Right. I know you're human.
Yeah, man. With Cypher though, it's pretty much out of my hands now. Now that the software is in the possession of the subscribers, they're all on Telegram networking with themselves on the best way to do all kinds of different stuff. I'm just observing it now. I'm just kind of blown away by the whole process. Really,
it's beautiful. It's great. Awesome, Jason. Have a great one. We'll talk soon.
I'll see you at the next meetup, man. Later.
See ya. Cheers.
Oh, man, that's a good dude. Kevin, where are you at, man? Where's that email? Let me get that email in here. I switched emails. That was the problem. I called him Kevin. His name is Keith. Keith, I didn't send you a link. You got it now. You should have that link now, Kevin. Keith, I'm sorry. Keith and I did a video together about a month ago. Okay, BH. I'm going to send you a link too. Oh, that's a good question, man. Okay, Chris Charette. I just sent 3 links out. Uh-oh, we got a Jaleesa here. Jaleesa, your mic is blocked. Well, oh, there's Jonathan. I know that man very well, Jonathan Sherman. Jaleesa, did you walk away from your computer? I just sent 5 links out, so we ought to have some. Let's see. I do have a question from, well, Jaleesa's not here, so I'm going to remove her. Hermit Tramp UK trucker listening. He said, Anatoly Fomenko calibrated his calendar by matching up a year where 2 eclipses happened in the same year. Oh, in my Chronicon, I show that that's happened like 19, 20 times in the past 15 centuries. 2 eclipses happened in the same year. Have you looked at those 2 occasions where Anatoly Fomenko recognized 2 eclipses in the same year and married them up to Phoenix year events? No, I have not. I don't. I haven't seen it. You'd have to give me those dates. You'd have to give me the Fomenko dates for me to be able to compare them. All right, so I just sent several links out. I haven't heard back from anybody. Oh, there's Jonathan Sherman. You've been here quite a few times, Jonathan. Can you hear me? All right. Well, we got some problems here. I don't know. Jonathan, can you hear me? What's that? Age Cruncher?
Hi.
Hey, man, I can hear you. I don't know what happened to Jonathan.
Great. Okay. So I just I thought of these questions. I'm just going to turn this down.
All right.
Okay. So regarding informed field for children, when does a child recognize the informed field and the responsibility for self-determination? That's the first question.
That's a hard one. That's almost like a first principle. That's almost like a first principle question.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Is your audio?
Yeah, your audience? Did you hear my question?
I did. So that's a hard one. That's a real hard one. When that's going to be completely dependent on the child itself.
Sorry.
I'm getting a lot of feedback. Okay. Yeah. You got multiple mics or speakers in there. Yeah, something happened there. All right, we're having some technical difficulties. Jonathan Sherman, you hear me? I do not know what's going on. Why? Is this echo in my studio? No way. You guys can all hear that echo? I'm going to get rid of Lisa. I'm kicking her from her studio. What about now? Okay, that's what it was. No, I don't know what it is. This is in my studio. How did this happen just all of a sudden? I haven't changed any setting. How's that? Well, I'll be damned. Jonathan Sherman, can you unmute your mic?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Excellent. There's still an echo.
Can you hear me? Okay,
yeah, I can hear you just fine,
brother. Good to see you. Fantastic. Question. Hey, what's the dark satellite? I want to know about the satellite.
Okay. The very first time we have anything in the record is 1899 BC. 1899 BC begins a 395.4 cycle that goes through history, and it hits exactly at 713 BC, which is the Immanuel Velikovsky date for the year changing from 360 days to 365.25. It is when the zodiac changed. It's when the whole world, the whole sky changed, when the sun changed motion. So the same cycle continues on. It ends up being 76 AD, where a great spear-like object was seen in the sky over India, and it started the Indian Saka calendar. This cycle continues on all throughout AD, Anno Domini history. It ends up hitting 864 AD, which is exactly the 8th Bacton of the Mayan long count. You remember the Mayan long count's every 144,000 days. So it's really interesting how the dark satellite also hit 713 BC, which was the conclusion of the 6th Bacton. It seems that the dark satellite has a lot to do with creating confusion, just like the Tower of Babel story, 1899 BC. All the language is changing. Great earthquake. That 1899 BC was the great earthquake in the 340th year after the flood that raised up the whole northern African plate, raised up out of the Mediterranean. This is why you've seen pictures of the Great Pyramid that have that wave damage toward the upper top, and then the very top looks like it's almost undamaged, and then it's got heavy damage below the wave crest. You know what pictures I'm talking about? The Great Pyramid that show that it was underwater.
Yep.
So this is 1899 BC, which happens to be the exact year that the dark satellite chronology begins. It may go back further in time, but we don't have any dates that it aligns with that I can remember. This is the subject matter of an entire chapter in my book, Anunnaki Homeworld. But this cycle remains unbroken all the way through all these Mayan dates, and then turn around and it ends up coming back in 2052. And I'm not the one that named the dark satellite. Right. The dark satellite was named by Thomas Burgoyne in 1881 in his book, Ancient Egypt, Light of the World, where he was explaining that the dark satellite is actually a prison that's in the sky among the stars, and it's going to bring the ancient ones back to our world. And it seems to align with a lot of other occult, mystic, satanic writings, such as like the Necronomicon and the have you heard my video on Ketub, the mystic writings about ancient ones in Egypt?
Absolutely.
The Ketub talks about it as well. So ancient Arabian traditions talk about the return of the jinn as well to rule over mankind in the Great Tribulation period. So
does it always appear with a nefarious connotation? I mean, is it?
I haven't seen a single incident where the dark satellite was good. Yeah, I haven't. Now in the book of Revelation, it coincides with the return of the 7 kings. The 7 kings, and there was an 8th who was of the 7. The 7 kings in the book of Revelation, which was actually the text is a descendant of the Sibylline oracles. It's really just a replication of what happened in the pre-flood world, just like Nostradamus, who had said that in the last days, in the 670th year, the Phoenix will return and I've got this in a lot of my Phoenix videos, but the reference to 670 in Phoenix is the Great Flood. And we know at the Great Flood, it ended the reign of the 7 kings. The 7 kings in question are on the Sumerian prism in the Ashmolean Museum at Oxford. And they ruled for 241,200 shars, which divisible by 360 of the Sumerian year is exactly 670 years precisely. So the dark satellite seems in the traditions to be the prison. It's like the Book of Enoch describes the prison of the stars, and the mighty ones, the great rulers over the lesser rebellious angels, they were imprisoned until a time in the last days when they would be released, and then they would be judged. But the prison of the stars in the Enochian writings seems to be the dark satellite. And the dark satellite seems to be something that appears in our sky, and that whoever was recording it initially designed the Olmec calendar. And the Olmec calendar is the origin of the later Mayan calendar. And
so is it also an intruder into this into the solar ecliptic?
Yes, it would be, but so are we.
Yeah, right.
That's why everything keeps coming so close to Earth. Phoenix and Nemesis X, the dark satellite, and ancient Electra. Electra no longer exists, but these are all members of the Nemesis system, not the Sol system. Our origin is the Nemesis system, not the Sol system.
Yeah.
So the dark satellite in my Anunnaki homeworld, I kind of theorized that maybe it's a moon. It's a lost metal moon, and it may be a super construction that once belonged to the Nemesis X, and then Nemesis X lost it for some reason. But the only problem I have with that is that there isn't a single year in world history that the Nemesis X object and the dark satellite ever visit our sky in the same year, which is not true of the Phoenix.
Right.
Because the dark satellite and the Phoenix never visit in the same year either. But you know this, there's only 1 year in all world history going 8,000 years in the past and 8,000 years in the future. There's only 1 year in all world history where the Phoenix and Nemesis X object appeared in our skies in the same year. And that's the year 522 AD, which started the Great Dark Ages.
Yes, it did.
So, man, listen, the dark side, it's been a long time since I've done a video on the dark satellite.
Yes, I know.
Well, I do have a lot more information. I just have to look up each individual year and what the events were every 394.5 years every time it appeared. I need to do that. I need to put that on my list to do, because I probably have a lot more data on the dark satellite. I just haven't really been paying attention to it.
Well, it seems like it plays a similar role. If the Phoenix is to keep the Archons in check, then maybe the dark satellite's to keep something else in check.
I don't know, but the Mayan long count's all about at the end of 13.0.0.0.0, it's going to be a invasion of entities from the 13
demon army. It's scary.
Same thing Revelation says.
Yeah, exactly.
An angel comes from the sky and uses a key and opens the bottomless pit, and up come 200 million locust demons.
I had thought that was going to take place on 2046.
It is. That is 2046. 2046 is the return of the Nemesis X object. 2046 is November 2nd. 2046 is also the end of the Mayan long counts, 1,872,000 days. Divided into 13 Bactans of 144,000 days each. It's also the first year of an entirely new sky, according to engineer David Davidson, who published in 1926 that the year 2045, according to the geodetics of the Great Pyramid, is the final year that we will know the sky as the way we know it today. 2045 is the end for our present sky cycle, and a whole new heavens and a whole new sky will start as year 1 in 2046.
So what then will transpire at the final appearance of the dark satellite? When's that? 2070, 2052?
No, it's 2052.
2052.
Okay, you're not going to like the answer to that.
Well, it gets worse. We went from a demon army to something.
So 2052 is known by the secret fraternal benefit societies like the Masons, Freemasons, Elks, Rosicrucians, upper elite, probably Zionists. They all know the designers. Bartoli actually put the prophecy in the statue of Apollo, and we were told it was the Statue of Liberty. And as long as the statue was standing, it is the basically the liberty of the world. The world may be an effed up place, but you're still free. Right. So the Statue of Liberty is standing, but inside the Statue of Liberty, which is on like a Starfort type deal, the Bartoli designed it to be 168 steps going up to the torch at the top of the statue. So when this statue was transported from France across to the United States, with the year that it was erected and they had a ceremony, counted down precisely, I think it was 1884, counted precisely 168 years, 1 year for each step, to the year 2052, when liberty will be taken away from the earth. The seven spikes are the seven kings that come and rule over the entities that take this liberty from the human family. Excuse me. Ran out of coffee. I'm on water now.
You think that's when AI gets a body?
Yeah, that's the whole Antichrist deal. Transhumanism. That's nothing but artificial intelligence actually acquiring an avatar.
Yeah.
And then because it's AI and it's already plugged into everything else, and it's like the ultimate Neo. It's an avatar that the rest of us normal avatars will look at, but this guy is going to be able to do some amazing things. Why? Because he is the programming. He can change the construct, do miracles, do all these things, and it's nothing but an AI inhabiting an avatar that's doing these things. It'll look like miracles to us, but all it is programming manipulation. Absolutely.
I'll look forward to that satellite video for shizzle.
I just wrote that down. Dark satellite. It's been a while.
Oh, also, I'm waiting. A Minoan breakdown. Minoan.
What about him?
You threatened a Minoan breakdown a while ago. I mean, they're a fascinating civilization, and I'd like to know as much as you can. I'd like to know more about them. I'd like to know as much as you know about them.
Well, first of all, they had to have been very advanced because they were surrounded by militaries, military navies, all kinds of military aristocracies, and yet they don't seem to have a military of their own. No. They had very sophisticated hyperbolic curves in their plumbing, things that we have not done, things that we have not redesigned until the late 1800s. These hyperbolic curves that were done in terracotta pipes and all that in Minoan Crete are fascinating because they were specifically designed to curve with the motion of water.
Right.
How water moves through pipes, that's how the pipes were designed. And that took a pretty advanced knowledge to do that. But Minoan linear A is basically what developed in the 1800s BC and was used in the 1700s BC, and then early 1687 BC in the month of May was the Ogaigian cataclysm, and Minoan linear A collapsed to linear B. So with linear B, we basically had Mycenaean, and the Mycenaeans took over. But whoever the Minoans were, they must have been the power structure in the Mediterranean at the time, because nobody invaded them, but they had no army. So they must have been protected in some other way. They were very advanced.
And they were like matriarchal. They were
every symbol, every effigy, every single thing that we have discovered about Minoan culture, which is only after the Great Flood of 2239 BC, Phoenix, the Typhon flood. Right. Everything we've learned about the bull cult burying skulls underneath the family dwelling, the two lions and the goddess on the throne, everything that we have found in the Minoan civilization matches Göbekli Tepe and Catalhuyuk. All the Huyuk sites and all the Tepe sites, they're nowhere near as old as Jimmy Corsetti, and all these people are saying that they're nowhere near that old. All these symbols and all these pillars of the bird cult, effigies, and the pillars with the folded fingers that are also found at Tiahuanaco and at Easter Island absolutely prove that Göbekli Tepe can't be any older than the 25th century BC, and that's really giving it something. It's probably closer to the 19th century, and the only evidence they have of antiquity is the fact that they were buried. So a cataclysm can bury something.
Yeah, yes, it can indeed.
That's
I'll let
poison.
you take your next guest, Jesse. You got someone on deck.
All right. Oh
Thanks
yeah.
for
I'll
taking-
say, listen. I've been holding off for him because he's going to go off. Yeah, he's going to go off.
No worries.
Yeah.
It's all good, bro.
All right, Jonathan. I'll holler at you later.
Appreciate you. Later.
Yeah, man. What's up, Keith?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. Well, we're going to set up another video. I just been, lately I've been super busy.
Yeah. No, I know. I just from what a couple people, the last couple callers were saying, and also people in the comments on the last video that we did, the whole 201 thing, and you just said transhumanism, right? So the whole 201 and all these rituals of 2 becoming 0, becoming 1, like the Twin Towers, 2 towers, then 0, now it's 1. The whole transhumanism thing, you're taking 2 sexes and putting them into 1, like it's a giant 201 ritual.
I understand. Yeah, I get it.
So one of the things that we didn't get to last time was the 201st episode of South Park. The 201st episode of South Park is the only one that was ever tossed away. It's like,
are you serious?
Right. So it's a combination of the 200 and 201st episode, if I'm remembering correctly. And I never watched it. My buddies in college watched it, but I read the thing on it. And basically you find out that the one kid's mom, Cartman, is a tranny. So that's like a 201 thing in the show on episode 201.
Wow. Now you got me wondering what the 201st Simpsons was. Damn, now you got my mind wondering.
I think that I looked that up, but I'm not sure. If it was something that grabbed me, I definitely would have wrote it down. Hey, did I look up the Simpsons? Maybe I didn't do that one. Oh, the show. Yeah, listen, it's called. There's a TV show that I found right from 1982. It's called Rediscovering the Phoenix.
Really?
There's a 3-minute
from 1982.
Yes, there's a 3-minute trailer and a 1-minute trailer. You need to watch one of them immediately.
Wow.
This is going to trip you out, man. This is crazy.
I keep getting so many emails from people that are finding things from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, Twilight Zone episodes, Star Trek episodes, all kinds of things, even modern Netflix docuseries and stuff, or these just regular series. It's like, damn, man, it's almost as if AI is rewriting history, because we've never even heard of these television programs from the 60s and 70s, but it's all Phoenix phenomenon stuff.
And this is one episode, or one. It was only one season, and everything that you were just describing about the AI catching a body it seems like that's what this show is. It's got the pyramid, it's got all the symbolism, it's everything. It's like somebody took your work and made a fucking TV show in 1982.
Yeah, man. You know what? Anything. I mean, when you really break it down, anything is possible, because if we're not living in a real reality, Keith, and we're living in a mathematical construct based off programming, and that programming is specifically designed through an avatar that governs what we perceive through what it filters through the central nervous system, this bridge between the psyche and the simulation, then that means it literally can change programming of the past to modify our perception of the present. It can do that. So there's no doubt. So I'm also going to have to temper that. I'm going to have to temper that, though, because there's also, I've given whole presentations about this, about the axioms. There are things that are self-evident truths that never change. Like we throw a rock up in the sky, it's going to come down. I take a needle and poke my hand, it's going to draw pain and blood. There are things that are axiomatic that never change. So there's rules and there's governors. But it seems like the AI that runs this system, this experience, has the ability to change things that alter our perception, but it can't go into the past and change events themselves because they're fixed. You understand?
Or go into a math book and change a math equation.
Right. Can't do that. It can change our perception of things such as Mandela effect, synchronicity, deja vu, coincidence. It can do things in the temporal, which is now, because we're living in the eternal now. But as far as go back and rewrite a whole epic of history, I just can't see it doing that. And the reason I can't see it doing that is because I think that there are governors in place, because the history of the world is absolutely packed full of Easter eggs. There's all kinds of things. There's all kinds of things specifically put into the history of the world for us to discover, for aha moments. Like, damn, man, that's amazing. I had no idea about this. So,
right.
and the fact that we can put these historical events into a mathematical framework, such as Chronicon, pretty much shows me that there are things the AI can do, it can mess with, as far as temporal human present perceptions, and there's other things that it's forbidden to tamper with.
Right. On the Phoenix vein, the X-Men, the comic book X-Men.
Yes.
Issues 137, like the
fine structure constant.
Issue 137 and 138 is X-Men: Death of the Phoenix.
What?
I shit you not.
Okay. Well, that begs the question: if 137 is X-Men, the Death of the Phoenix.
It's a two issue. It's a volume 1 and volume 2 in their issues 137 and 138. It's a double issue.
It's a double issue. It covered the fine structure constant because it's 137 point indefinite.
And it floats between there, right?
Yeah, it floats between her. No mathematician, no physicist has ever been able to pinpoint exactly what the fine structure constant is. Dude, that's amazing that they did that.
Yeah, it's pretty
wild.
So
I have to ask, what is 139? What is the X-Men issue 139 about? Can you find that out real quick?
Yeah.
I want to know what's post-reset.
Oh, that's going to be wild.
Yeah, just look it up real quick. That's amazing. Let's see what they're saying post-reset is. Because that would mean the episode would be covering the years 2041 and 2042.
All right, so episode 139 says, "Something wicked this way comes."
Oh, man, it's right. Nemesis X. Nemesis X is right after Phoenix, bro. Something wicked this way comes. Damn, I got to start watching X-Men. Damn. I'm telling you guys, they're always telling us the absolute truth, man, and we just don't pay attention. Just like the Star Trek episode I showed you guys from the late 1960s, where Captain Kirk is showing a screen and it shows the Sigma object, which is traveling north to south over the sun while all the other planets in the system are on the sun's ecliptic. One of them, which is a weird one, is going north to south. And I put it right next to the Phoenix projection that I published in 2009 in my book, When the Sun Darkens, before I was in prison. So I never saw that episode of Star Trek, didn't know anything about it. And they're identical to each other.
I didn't read comic books. I didn't know nothing about comics. So listen, check this out. Issue 140 is just titled Rage, R-A-G-E. And 141, listen to this. Days of Future Past.
Dude, that's the period of time between Phoenix and Nemesis X, man.
You're damn right.
That's the period between the return of both Sky Dragons and the Sibylline Oracles, Mother Shipton. It's the period between 2040 and 2046, according to Nostradamus. Yeah, man, it's something wicked this way comes is the Nemesis X object. Nothing ever good happens when it comes. So, yeah.
Go ahead.
I said that's pretty compelling, man, that issues 137 and 138 would be about the Phoenix. It's just amazing.
And same thing with the 201. It's the only double issue, and the South Park episode 201 is the only like combined episode. And
so we still need to know though what 130. Okay, you say 138. Well, six after that. Yeah, 6 after that. What is no, what is issue? Yeah. Hold on, Jaleesa. I got you on the screen.
It's called Kidnapped.
So that would be 2046, Kidnapped. Hold on. You know, oh man, no way. Hold on, man. Keith, follow my reasoning. So according to the X-Men dialogue, the number of the issues, the one that stands for 2046 is Kidnapped. Is that what you just told me?
It would be issue 145.
Yes, but it represents 2046.
Correct.
Listen, do you know why they're saying it's called Kidnapped?
Because they're like the Children's Crusade and 12/12 kind of thing?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay.
This is a mind fuck right here. In 2046, Earth is going back to the Nemesis ecliptic because it's going to be pulled onto it by Nemesis X.
Oh shit.
Earth is going to be kidnapped back onto its original ecliptic plane, which returns the zodiac to Orion, the Seven Sisters, the Canis Major, Canis Minor, Arcturus, Ursa Major, Ursa Minor. The original ancient zodiac, lunar zodiac, is returned. This is also a return of the matriarchy. Remember, in the book of Revelations, the female sits on top of the seven-headed dragon. That's not the way it's been going for thousands of years. The seven-headed dragon has been patriarchal. There's been no female riding it. In the book of Revelation, now there's a female riding on there. So we have now control of a chthonic, earth-based system, the seven-headed dragon. Control is now given to a female. Earth, according to the X-Men narrative there, Earth is kidnapped. This will be 2046. This is why Zechariah Sitchin called Nibiru the fairy, because when it gets too close to Earth, it pulls Earth on and off the Nemesis ecliptic. Remember, the Taishish Bode Law says we're not supposed to be here. Right. We are an intruder planet tucked between Venus and Mars. We are not supposed to be here at all. We are mathematically disrupting the entire solar system. And it was 713 BC when we came onto this solar system, and Immanuel Velikovsky made an error. And he said in his books, Worlds in Collision, that Venus came too close to the earth and grew, and it filled the sky, and it terrified all the civilizations in the world. And then Venus receded, followed by Mars. Then Mars got too big, but that's impossible. The reason it's impossible is because Venus has almost a circular orbit today. It's never been disrupted. If that event really happened and Venus came too close to Earth, it means Venus would have an elongated orbit now. It does not. It's circular. It's very close to the sun. Mars has an elongated orbit, but not enough to justify coming too close to Earth. It would have been a super elongation. You understand?
Yeah.
What Velikovsky didn't realize is that Venus and Mars never moved. Earth did. Earth was the one that went too close to Venus, and then it went too close to Mars, and then it stabilized right here, and it stayed here in this tucked between two orbital belts in a weird year, not 360 days anymore. Now it's 365.25, which disrupted the Mayan long count and got all these whiz kids thinking that the Mayan long count was going to end in 2012 when it actually ends in 2046. So according to the X-Men narrative, Earth is kidnapped.
That's wild.
That's it, dude. I'm telling you, man. That's so crazy, man. I don't even pay attention to comic books, but that just blows my mind.
I mean, once I started finding this stuff, I just started looking everywhere. Some people in the comments were on the last video were asking to saying stuff about 201 and the event 201 and COVID and all that. And Tom Hanks actually makes a post on Twitter or something. He's playing cards with his wife, and he's losing by 201. Like, this is during COVID, during the lock-in. And then somebody asked about Elvis. There's actually a book that's called 201 Questions of the Life of Elvis Presley. And
wow.
His address was 201 Columbia Plaza, like where his office was.
Yeah.
And the woman who died next to him, allegedly, Ginger Alden, she's got a numeric value of 201. And
it's so crazy, man.
She had an 11 and a half carat ring. And the sun cycle's got an 11 and a half year thing. That's 138 months.
Oh, I was about to say that 11 and a half. Yeah, the sun cycle. The sun cycle of 11 and a half years is precisely 138 months.
Right.
Yeah.
This woman had an 11 and a half carat ring on her finger.
Wow. Check it out, Keith. This would, I got some homework for you to do, man.
Yeah.
I got some homework for you to do. I need you starting, listen to me. Starting with the 137th and 38th volumes that you just showed me, where the X-Men narrative is talking about the Phoenix. I need you to go back and look at all the titles for all the X-Men comic books going back to 1901. All right. And then I want you to see if there's any correlates in any years from 1902. You know, the Titanic sank in 1912. Look at that year. World War I. Look at World War I. Look at the 5 years of World War II. See if there's any. Look at 9/11, 2001. Look at COVID 2020. Let's see if the X-Men. Let's see if the pattern maintains.
So those wars, like World War I, II, then there was a war on terror, then it was the war on drugs, then it was COVID. All of those fall on the 19-year cycle.
Okay, what I'm saying is if they already nailed two of them that are epic, all right, let's go back to 1901 and see how many other ones they nailed, and then let's start with 2047, 2048, 2049. Let's go all the way to however far the X-Men take the narrative. And then when you tell me you're ready, I'll have you back on my channel and we'll blow people's minds.
So I'm looking at the notes too that I had. They did a whole separate issue that was called Phoenix, Untold Fate of the Phoenix. So that's probably a whole other thing.
Well, look, I'll tell you what. Too. Let's just concentrate on X-Men. I also want you to look at the titles and subject matter of each X-Men movie. All right?
Okay.
Now, listen, Keith. This is going to
be weird, isn't it?
No, this is part of the assignment too, because remember, do you remember the codes that I found encoded in the actual dates that each one of the Purge movies was released? And how they all counted down to when Pfizer released vaccines, and they counted down to eclipses. Remember that?
Dude, those dates between eclipses, if you divide those dates that you gave me by 12 months, 201.
201. Listen, man. Get the exact dates that every single X-Men video was released, because I will run those dates through this software and we'll see whatever mathematical relationships line up. And you'll have the titles for all the X-Men deals. You could probably go on a website somewhere and find all the titles so you don't have to fucking write them by hand, man. But
what was the last part you said? The exact dates for X-Men what? Releases?
Movies, when they were released, when the cinematic productions were released to the public. You have to understand, hey, Hollywood does this in rituals, man. I've already seen so many movies that were released that on specific dates because it's a part of a ritual, and like a patterning, like exactly 138 days before a major event, or 144 days before a massive eclipse, and then turn around 144 days after that eclipse, the second movie comes out. So we've seen this patterning over and over. Let's go ahead and check out. You got me thinking about the X-Men now that you've proven to me that the fine structure constant, the Phoenix 137, 138, and then 2046, Earth is kidnapped. You've already proven to me that the X-Men are doing a little covert reveal. So I'm gonna go to Jaleesa, Keith. Yeah.
And, don't forget the 1902 video too. We got to do.
Yeah, we're gonna do a 1902 video. I still got that on the table, but we may do the X-Men video before that, bro.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm on it.
I say get on top of that, bro, and we'll do it. And yeah, man, I'm pretty excited about that. I'm gonna get to Jaleesa, or this thing's gonna go 3 hours.
Sorry, Jaleesa, my bad.
Later, bro.
Later, man.
Hello, Jaleesa.
Hi, Jason. So, I have a question. I'm gonna try to figure out a way how to get into it. So, it's about the Phoenix. So, say if you were telling someone about the Phoenix, you know, the red rain, the red mud, the red dust, all that fallout. Mm-hmm. So, if someone said, "Oh, well, there's a scientific explanation for that," would it really matter what the explanation is if it's, you know, happening? Is it happening every like 138 years or periodically on that 138 year schedule? If it's happening like almost every time on that schedule, would it matter what the reason is, or is it just the fact that it's programmed to kind of happen at these intervals?
Well, it's a good question, but red dust, red rain, and red mud have happened even on years that were not Phoenix years. But in my video presentations, I've shown that those years that it happened were actually on the Phoenix programming, but it was in other dimensions of arithmetic. It's like taking the number 138 and dividing it by phi, the golden mean, 1.618, or dividing it by pi, 3.14. And whatever years you have then, that's exactly the time between events where red rains, red muds, and red dust did fall. Now, it doesn't matter if it's iron oxide. It doesn't matter if in 1902, the Vatican did studies. They had scientists look at some of this red rain, and they said it had blood corpuscles in it. They were convinced in 1902 that what had rained on Rome was human blood. So it doesn't matter what people actually think it is. The best way to approach this, Jaleesa, is to tell people, says, hey, you guys know that the best way to say it is, you know, there's this weird phenomenon that happens where this red blood, red rain, red mud, it falls from the sky during earthquakes, tsunamis, the sun darkens, and a lot of time the moon turns red, but it's not the moon darkening the sun. And this has been recorded over and over and over. And it's so amazing because if you go to this website here, archaix.com, you'll find out that every time that it happened almost to the whole world, it was every 138 years. So it's happened many other times, but it's always local, regional, and very small events. But when it happens to the whole world, like 1902, 1764, and a whole bunch of other times that I've recorded in my books, it's on a 138-year patterning, and it could be scientific. I would never take that away. It could be something, some type of fallout. As a matter of fact, in the 1950s, Harold T. Wilkins wrote 2 books on cataclysms in South American traditions, and he was convinced that there was a hidden object in the sky that keeps getting too close to Earth and it's frozen. And that when it gets close to Earth, the glaciers shear off of it, and underneath is nothing but several miles of red clay and red dirt. And every time it comes too close to Earth, it just peels off whole continental size mud clods, and they just break up and rain all over our world. So there's different people in the time, like Hans Bellamy, that tried to theorize where this stuff came from. Some people claim that it used to be on the moon, and that what we're seeing now with the moon is a world that has now lost every bit of its topsoil, all its red rich iron rich soils and silicates. So I don't know. It's a good question, but it doesn't even matter if you believe it or what you believe it is. It's the fact that in the historical record, it's like clockwork. We get dumped on by something and it just blankets our world. And there's whole areas of the world where this red dust and red rain is still, red mud is still there today. It's just it's packed in layers. You can see different times in history where it happened.
Yeah, I remember you saying somewhere in Portugal got it a few different times.
Yes, Portugal, but in Australia, I had people from Australia actually send me a jar of it, and I showed it on my channel. And the geological reports that they sent with it said that it's absolutely the 1901-1902 deposit. It said they know this for a fact from the trash they found in the ground with the red red dust. So Charles Fort was vindicated because he said Australia got dumped on like 50 tons per square mile just in 1902. So I still have that jar in my studio. It's a jar full of red dust from 1902.
Okay. Thank you. I don't think I have any more questions, but thank you for answering.
Where are you at, Jaleesa? Where are you at?
Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay. All right. I like to know where people are from.
I know there's a Pittsburgh, Texas, but I mean Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Right. All right. Up northeast.
Mm-hmm.
I have never in my life been that far east or north.
I had a feeling. I was like maybe hoping for an East Coast meetup somewhere, but
well, I did go to Virginia Beach and I went to Tampa.
But, yeah, that's pretty.
But I have Dr. Corey Stern's been really pressing me, trying to get me up to New York.
Yeah, somewhere that's not the South. It might be too cold for you up here.
It gets cold in Texas too, but only for about 2 or 3 weeks. All right, Jaleesa.
Thank you.
All right, guys. I think I'm done for the night. I'm gonna go find me something to eat. Got my Q&A out. I got my Q&A out of the way for a little while. I'm really vibrating over the X-Men because of the emails I've gotten in the past 3 years of people telling me about individual shows, comic books, movies, things that are in the X-Men movies that really do reflect some of the Archaix research, and I've always kind of just shelved it. But I can't shelve this. Not after what he just showed me, that the number of the releases of the X-Men comic books actually correlate for the return of the Phoenix object, the return of the Nemesis X object. That's beyond coincidence. We need to look into this now. So it's pretty compelling. I need to check that out. So the next video, I'm telling you guys, you're not gonna want to miss it. I do not make claims lightly. You guys know that I am not into hyperbole. I am not into embellishing anything. I'm going to give it to you straight and direct. And I'm telling you right now, the reason this man is not going to debate me or anybody else is because this is full of falsifications. And we're going to go through all 505 pages. And I'm going to show you that this book that came out in 1995 is largely responsible for the entire internet, thousands of websites all publishing disinformation, absolutely false BS crap about the ancient world. None of it's provable. I'm going to dissect and dismantle this man's entire thesis, and when we're done with the video, you will understand why I'm so hostile toward all this BS that's out there in the field. You're going to get it. Fingerprints of the Gods. You got that coming Sunday. Here's my errant. Here's my errant. Where is it at? I got a errant video to show. Her information is in the description box. If you're interested in Cypher, you can only use the email that's in the description box. My Chronicon that you keep emailing me about, so simple. Just go to my website or in the description box. The 2 videos, one on Graham Hancock's book, and then Tuesday, it's all about episode 3, Archaix 4.0. We're going to the 3rd Phoenix Cycle event, 1687 BC, the Gaia Apocalypse. Then those 2 links are in the description box. Shopify for the merchandise is in the description box, and so is our Errant Ad website, and her Substack is all in the description box. So let's see what she has to say with that. Oh, that's a cute southern something voice. I can't quite pinpoint this voice. I like it though.
The quality of the emotion, right? The heaviness of it. It gets stuck in our body. It gets stuck in our mind. And we have to have ways to move that.
Imagine editing your life like a computer file. Soulfire Alchemy Shamanic Hypnosis taps into ancient wisdom and cutting-edge neuroscience to help you reprogram your mind. Let go of trauma, delete old patterns, and design your new reality just like clicking reset. It's time to reconnect with your true potential. Are you ready to step into your sovereignty?
There is an object hidden in the sky. Our predecessors studied its appearances. Like a vast clockwork apparatus, it appeared on a fixed timeline and disappeared whole civilizations. They have left us records of this invisible eye in the sky and how they hid underground from its face. They feared the return of the phoenix.